Came up on the fork in the road. I was out of control. Too hard to go over. Too late to go under. Yeah, I was talking to her. Damn right in the mood.
You'll start living your best life once you get the feeling right.
Don't lose that feeling.
Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do.
When I was a young boy, my daddy said I had problems. And then I get older, I get better taking over. Then I get into the fork in the road. I was out of control. Too high to go over. Too low to go under. Till I get that feeling.
Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do.
Yeah, that
Don't
feeling.
tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do.
Understand the joy that I feel. This passion, this purpose is real. I get to do this here with my friends. I get to do this here for my kids. Mama getting a brand new Benz, and back gon' get what she gives. That's loyalty over trends. It's BXB for the win. I put this here on my granny. Go reserve those seats at the Grammys. That's loyalty over trends. It's BXB for the win.
Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Let me tell you what you can't do.
When I was a young boy, hey boy, hey boy, hey boy,
You know we got the city on go mode. When you see us out, no photos. Girlfriend ass on whoa-whoa. And we stay down like 10 toes. And our summer still on high. Y'all niggas still on crock pot. Y'all niggas think y'all Tupac. Y'all niggas smoking that walk young boy.
Oh, I got the feeling, yeah. Oh, you in your feelings, yeah.
Ooh, man, oh man, oh man. As of
Up all night, putting work till it's daylight. Yeah, inspiration ain't required. I go hard in the pain even when I'm tired. 'Cause tomorrow ain't promised. I give my all, ain't nothing less. No tomorrow ain't promised. There's no tomorrow, no tomorrow, no.
Oh,
Me mouth things. That was fun. I'm gonna run it all again. I'm gonna do it all again. I'm gonna say it, Coach. Is it okay if I do it all again? I can't say who you are yet. Is that cool?
you do what you got to do.
I'm gonna do it. What I got to do is do the whole spill over again. You all probably saw the off the rim running before this, the intro, and it's because I saw Syracuse's own, a New Jersey Trader, tuned in as he's now coaching the Syracuse Orange, and I wanted to just tease him a little bit. We're going hard in the paint today. Ran that out of total just joke for you, Coach Drayton. Shout out to you being tuned in. You'll also notice that I'm in live and in color today when it's normally black and white, and that's for two reasons. Number one, my daughter asked me why it's always in black and white on the show, and I said, you can't understand how themes work because Hard in the Paint is, it's a theme. So couldn't get into all of that, but more importantly, we got a coach here who was just kind of kicking a lot of you guys' ass in some past seasons. I'm just be honest. He joined CBS not too long ago, joined the SimWorld families on this side of the house. So there'll be a little more ass kicking going on. There'll be some praise as well. You guys welcome Coach CC. Lightle is in the building to help me talk Big Ten. How you doing, man?
And I want to say two things. One, I'm sure them glasses are probably the reason you were on mute. Because you can't see out of those things. I mean, come on, let's just call it like it is. And second, it's Lightle. You went lightly again.
Did I do it again?
But it's all good, my man. It's CT Lightle. What's going on, everyone? Glad to be here. This is the first time I've actually been on camera in this capacity, so really excited to be able to talk ball with you tonight, man. Like I've been looking forward to this quite some time now.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you correcting me. We're not taking anything lightly around here. It's all Lightle here. We see how I played that off. And I look for all of the kids who are here tuned in. Look, I can stand correction. You can learn from that too. I stand corrected. I like the correction because I want to get it right. We got you here, man, and we're ready to talk a little Big Ten. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're gonna jump right out of the gate. I got some things wrong early to start this off. A couple of mishaps. Iowa got a couple of things wrong. Really, it's not their fault. Big Lemarian Sherwood no longer a part of SimWorld U. No longer a part of the Iowa Buckeyes. This team was all Lemarian Sherwood. As far as what most people think, Coach. I know I've talked ad nauseum that I love the way this team moved the ball. They made a run in hoop stereo, but they were more than just Lemarian Sherwood. Although he's gone, they're bringing back Josiah Cohen, not any gaudy numbers, but a hell of a defender. Stacey Van Arsdale is going to come back. He was the second leading scorer on this team. Ryder Rawls comes back, and they bring in a few freshmen, really three particular names, and we'll get to that, who really may turn some heads here. But I want to go ahead and get started there. Last season did not go as far as some people may have thought, and there was a major upset in Hoopsteria. Coach, what are you liking this team about this team this season? What are you disliking? And we'll get to the predictions. Don't throw that out there too early.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, this is a great team to really start with in the Big Ten because when you think about it, I mean, you're right. Lemarian Sherwood, gone, right? I mean, this guy was third in the country in scoring, averaging 23 a game, also adding in he was also fourth in the country at rebounds as well, right? So 8.9. So this was like a big part of this team on both sides of the court. What I love what Frank McCaffrey did here, though, man, I know you talked about Josiah Cohen and this and that, but the freshman. And what I want to start with first is Anthony Simmons, right? Anthony Simmons, a kid from Missouri. Obviously me with my past, ties with the state of Missouri, right, with coaching BTA. This is the guy I tried to go after, right? And this is a guy that could come in and just clean the glass. Right, and this is the guy that is going to be coming in averaging 6.8 per game when he played at Yacht Club last season. He could do a little bit of scoring too. I mean, he's not going to totally replace Lemarian Sherwood, but this is the guy that I love to see that first step, right? And obviously this is, just a great pickup here for Frank McCaffrey. And then the other piece probably that you're going to mention too is Avery Cooks. Avery coming in averaging 11 per game, 5 boards per game. This front court is kind of revisioned in Frank McCaffrey's mind, but I feel like this is a team that could still keep pace with what they did last season as well, with these two additions.
Hey, I mean, those are major additions. I'll go ahead and I'll piggyback. Avery Cooks, we know how I love Cooks Corner, was holding it down out there on the West Coast in SimWorld Prep. And Anthony Simmons, is he Lemarius Sherwood as of right now? No. Can we say that he won't be at some point? I'm not going to rule that out. Lemarian got all the way. He rolled under the radar until his senior season. Then he really took off. They got this kid. He's 6'11", 243 as a freshman. CC. So, and he knows how to use his body from what we've seen. So he could really evolve there. The other one that I'll mention is Enzo Wolf comes in. A little bit undersized, but this kid runs the pick and roll, tough, scrappy player, and very smart at moving the ball. Another high IQ player for the Buckeyes. How do you like him on this team, and what do you think he brings? And just kind of alluding, what do you think the identity of this team will be this season?
You know, that's a great question with Enzo Wolf. I mean, this is the guy, 5 points per game, 2 assists last season for the North. But when I watch Enzo play, you know, really what I look at as a guy, I love a point guard that could be a field general, right? I want a quarterback in at the point guard position. And that's exactly what Enzo Wolf brings, right? You want to get that front court involved. You know, you want to get Cooks and you want to get Simmons off the ball and this and that, right? Wolf is the guy that can really do that very well. And looking for the open man. So they really have a true point guard in place. And I think this is really just going to be a tough Big Ten type of team, right? Big Ten is known to be just a Midwest grit conference, right? That's what I love about it. And so with the size that Cooks and Simmons brings, I mean, I clearly think that that's the direction that they're trying to go in this season.
Yeah, someone correct me again. I'm all over the place today. That is not Arlo Cooks Corner. We're talking Avery Cooks. Thanks for the correction. Look, to your point though, Enzo Wolf, freshman, starting. Avery Cooks, freshman, starting. Anthony Simmons, freshman, starting for Coach McCaffrey. We can get into if we think that youth is going to work in the Big Ten. Definitely would like to hear your take on it. I also saw a comment there about Enzo Wolf didn't have a great high school career, but that's what college scouts and programs look at, right? Point guards, playmakers at the prep level. They're not always heralded like that, right? The systems aren't really so run out there in prep, and you were one that actually ran a system, but there's not. It's really just get up and down the court. You see some trapping and stuff, but he's really going to settle into his game. Enzo Wolf is here in college, I believe, and this is where you see point guards blossom. But coming back to my earlier point, the freshmen in this starting lineup. Do you see that being an issue? Does Coach McCaffrey have a really good handle on this team? Kind of, what are your thoughts? Because last year they kind of ran a deliberate kind of, they ran more screen and roll than people would have thought. Some people want to see it just dump down to Sherwood, CC. But he's not there. Are they going to run that same system? What are your expectations?
I mean, I think McCaffrey is probably going to start with that system and see what he's got with Cooks and Simmons, and then probably adjust that as. I mean, let's look at it this way. I mean, McCaffrey's been around for a long time. I mean, this guy has been almost 30 years of coaching experience at the college level. And for somebody to come in like that and know the system in place, I mean, that's what he's going to do, right? And I feel like he's going to get the best out of these guys, right? This isn't some, first year or second year head coach that's coming in and hasn't really had to deal with freshmen before. This guy's got a lot of experience, and he has had freshmen in that program before being able to start. 3 is a little interesting, right? I mean, that's kind of a younger team when you look at it. But as we said, I mean, this team had a nice little run in that hoops area, right? They lost in the Super 16 Arizona. But I feel like this is the team that can, if those freshmen can get up to par with where they should be, then I feel like that Iowa's not going to miss a beat.
Yep. We're gonna talk a little prediction here. It's time. 7-7 in the conference. Not pretty for a team that was so highly heralded and sat in the SP top 25 for the majority of the season. 21-11 though. Good year by the overall record. We talk actual numbers here. Some people have tried to avoid it on this show, Coach. They've given kind of some. We got to get actual numbers here. What is the season-ending record? You can give me that one, or you can give me conference record, or you can say where they land in Hoopsteria, whichever one.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably give you all 3. I mean, here's my thought, right? I think really it's all going to depend on how these three freshmen mesh together, right? Can Enzo Wolf? I mean, he, as somebody has mentioned, he didn't really have that big of a prep career, so can he turn that around at the college level, right? and Simmons and Cooks just be those big, ferocious guys in the middle and really just bully ball, right? Play that bully ball down in the post. And there's going to be some guys that are going to be able to compete with that, right? But I mean, when you look at the size, I mean, 230 for Cooks, 243 for Simmons. Those are some big boys, right? And they're going out to a place that's corn fed in Iowa, right? So they're going to be able to beef up. Here's my thought with Iowa, right? I feel like it's, like I said, again, it's all going to depend on the freshmen. I can see this team being a 9 conference win team, right? I feel like they can get to 9 wins, but if those 3 struggle, I mean, I can see them slipping far as down to 5, maybe 6 wins. So I feel like, in my mind, they're kind of right in the middle, right where they are. I wouldn't be shocked if they finished 7-7. But the upside is there, right? 9 wins and maybe even 10 if they can pull it off.
All right. Well, let's talk about a team that had 9 losses. Well, no, let's not even go there yet. Recruiting wise, they had a pretty good recruiting class bringing in what we just talked about.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like we spent enough time talking about Stacey Van Arsdale, and they brought in a 7-footer from South Carolina by the name of Kyle England. 7-foot kids in college, they're gonna make a difference, right? No matter what they're able to do. So, but they do have Stacey Van Arsdale. He's a senior. He's going to be heading on to probably SWBA, if not just something else. And really, that may be the only person that's outgoing, given the 2 and through rule. But do you have any thoughts on what they need to be doing in the recruiting pipeline? Any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, really, you got to start thinking about who's going to take over Van Arsdale, right? I mean, Van Arsdale is a guy that's coming in. He's going to be the only guy that returns this roster that got double-digit average points per game, right? He averaged 14, just over 14 a game. And so, you know, he's going to be looked at as kind of that main target, right? But you got to think about the future, right? I mean, you got a senior in there. I believe he's the only senior that's on this roster. So they're not going to be losing hardly anybody, right? So you want to see what guys like Bryden Addison, Josiah Cohen can do, right? Maybe they can fill that slot next season and try to bring somebody on the backside of that. But like I said, I think that what they have to get is somebody that can fill that 2-guard spot. If Enzo Wolf is going to be the guy that we think he is, or at least that I think he is, then you got to find somebody that can complement him. I mean, you're going to be able to have the big guys up front. You're fine for quite a few seasons there. But let's see if we can get somebody in the backcourt that really can play some defense and be able to be a spot-up shooter maybe as well. Maybe like a 3-and-D type of person. You never know.
Superstars, top draft prospects, no more on this team as far as we know as of right now. But I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. I think this team is skilled and deep. We saw some moments from Kareem and Shazad last season. Josiah Cohen, like I said, scrappy. I'm a big fan of the kid. I love kids that play hockey and basketball. There's a lot to be said. So, yeah, I'm excited about these guys. But you talked about 9 wins in the conference. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about a team that lost 9 games in the conference. We're going to talk Penn State, the Nittany Lions, whatever the hell Nittany means. Maybe you can tell me, CC. I don't know. I don't know if I want to know. I would like to continue not knowing and feeling like I'm superior because it's a weird word. So the Nittany Lions, they're going to come back. They're going to bring back Nick Beal, 14 points a game. They're going to be bringing back Vic LaLiberte. I love saying his name. They're bringing back Amara Food. They did lose some size up front, but they brought some more size in. This team finished 5-9 on the season, 11-18. A lot of stuff going on with this team. Coach Mike Rhodes comes in. He was challenged last year. So is this team going to be, is it going to be more about coaching scheme? Is it going to be more about roster construction? Is it going to be more about the players on this team? CC, what you got?
I mean, you got 7 guys that didn't play last season on this team, right? I mean, this is a team that's just kind of being flipped around a little bit. I think it's going to be more about the roster construction, as you discussed. I mean, you obviously you're bringing back Nick Beal. That's going to be your guy, right? That's the guy that's going to lead this squad. He's going to have to be, you know, he's a ISO type of guy, right? Maybe that's not the right word there, but he's the guy that he's going to bring the ball up and he's going to create his own offense, right? And he may have to do that a lot this season, but it's really going to just depend on what, you know, Vic is going to be able to bring as well, right? But here's my thought with this, right? With this 2-guard system that they have. I feel like Vic this is really getting into the coaching part of this, right? And maybe this is something Mike Rose needs to hear, but I think Vic and Nick needs to switch.
I was going
right?
to say
If you
the
got
same
Nick,
thing.
you got Nick listed as the 1 and you got Vic as the 2. I feel like Vic's game is more of the 1 and let Nick come off of those screens and try to get open shots, right? Because yes, he's a scoring guard, but Vic, in my mind, he's got, like, when you watch Vic play, he's got such a great IQ as a point guard, right? Like, there's some times where he's been able to bring the ball up the floor, and that offense looked a little different, right? It looked like it had a little bit more pep and step.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, let's switch those guys up, right? And let Nick be that guy that you look for coming off of screens and try to work that a little bit and see what you could do, because you have a little bit of size, right? I mean, you got some taller guys in there. Marcus Lofton is 6'9", 225. I mean, you should be able to hopefully at least set some picks and try to get him some open looks. But in my mind, I feel like that those two, if they switch, I feel like that may be a good opportunity for them to try to improve their win total.
Look, again, we got a lot of prep coaches tapped in here. You'll probably hear about some of this on the town hall coming up. Shout out Coach Pope. I see you in there. Matter of fact, we didn't do that yet. We got Corey Yams in the building, local prep celebrities, kids all over social media. He doesn't interact with us much. We'd like to see you more often, sir. We'd like to see those little Yams emojis more often. I thought it was weird at first. I love it. We need it back. So shout out to Corey Yams in the building, Jay Midoriya, a top North Carolina prospect, Coach McHub in the building, Biff Markham. We got quite a few people in here. If I missed you, I'll catch you later. Coach Simpson. Shout out to you guys being in the building. But just going to say, Nick Beal and Vic La Liberté, when you point that out, Nick Beal running the point, it really just depends. I guess we're assuming Coach Rhodes is really just going to put the ball in his hands. And if he does that, do you get the ball? And that's what I want to ask you. Does the ball ever find its way to Afu, who's a very serviceable scorer in that post? Does it ever find its way to La Liberté on the open shot? Does it find its way to Lofton on a pick and roll? When you put that type of score first mentality at point guard, what happens to the rest of your team, Coach?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? You put that scorerman, that guy that's going to go and get his own bucket in at the 1.
He's looking for his own bucket first, isn't he?
He's looking for his own bucket. Yeah, he shoot first and ask questions later, right? So that's why I'm talking about let's switch these guys up, because as I said, I think when Vic runs the 1, I feel like that he's got a better mind for the point guard position than Nick Beal. And you have a big guy, right? I mean, Afua is 6'10", 6'10", 210. Right? Just averaged over 11 per game. I mean, this is a guy that is a legit threat down low. I almost feel like if Penn State, and you could tell me if I'm wrong or right on this, but I feel like if Penn State maybe goes into more of like a Purdue mindset, right? Or maybe like an Iowa mindset and tries to just pound the paint, I feel like they may be able to get better results.
I'm with you there. Like, there's a lot of people like to. Again, Iowa ran the pick and roll, but when they just dropped it down to Lamarion, it was beautiful.
It was over.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of size. And then they have, let's go ahead and talk freshmen. I'm a huge Stevie J fan. Not the one from Real Housewives of Atlanta or whatever it is. Basketball. Let me watch my
basketball diet. Basketball. Yeah.
I call it something different in my house. I'm not gonna go that hard on the show. Not that Stevie J, but Stevie J 6'10", 260. Man, the kid got even bigger. He's a freak athlete and he's a freight train. Now this kid could be the next Lamarion Sherwood. He's gonna, Coach Rhodes is gonna get him going off the bench and kind of bring him in, but. I think I'm right there with you, Coach. We're going to see if we can disagree at some point. But I like to see Vic bring that ball up and figure out which big man to get it to. And when you can't get it to a big man or they're well defended or not rolling, you give the ball to Beal and you get the hell out the way, right?
Man, I mean, could you imagine if you have Vic bringing up the ball, right? And let's just go on the Stevie J subject for a second to talk about, let's say he emerges as a big time thing. What if Vic was bringing up the ball and you're using the pick and roll game with Afua and Stevie J, right? And then you have Nick Beal coming off of those, right? Trying to set screens up and maybe get some drop shots. And then, if not, let's just pound it in the paint and let's put Afua at the 5 and Jay at the 4. You want to talk about some size. in some Big Ten, like tough to the bone, inside basketball, there's no other way to do it than that.
Those screens alone, Pete Sampras couldn't get around those screens. Like
No.
those dudes are freight trains. But hey, they have a chance to revive Penn State basketball here, in my opinion. Shout out Big Bob moving cross country. Penn State is his team. Big Bob, be safe out there, man. Know you're gonna be cheering for this team. Maybe we can get some insight from him on what we can expect. What do you expect the final record to be, conference wise overall, or do they get in? Do they listen to what Coach CC Lightle has to say?
I don't think. I mean, it really depends on what Mike Rhodes wants to do, right? Is he one of those coaches? I mean, he's been in the game for 10 years. He's won a conference title back in his day, right? Is he someone that would, if things maybe go tough in the first 5 games, that he tries to, okay, I need to try something different, right? Or is he like, look, I think Nick is the one. Nick is going to get the ball. Nick's going to create his own shots. He's going to lead us, right? That's the question. Is he going to do that? My answer is, if he sticks to that system, don't expect more than 6 wins.
Hey, that's where we, 6 wins.
Because Nick Beal, to me, look, Nick Beal's a good player. Don't get me wrong, right? I just don't think he's that guy that would be like, okay, I'm going to go out and get 23 a game and lead a squad like that.
No,
I just don't see it.
I'm right there with you. Hey, so I mean, it's to all those people. That's where the highlight factory becomes a challenge. People like to see good perimeter scorers getting highlights, but is that the best way to win? I had to watch James Hardley for season after season not get us where we need to go. So I know all about it here in Houston. Sometimes you got to go a different direction. Shout out to Coach Drayton there. I see you using my big girl jokes out there. Kelly Price on a diet. Yes, that's not happening. Not happening. She's on a seafood diet, is what I hear. She's seafood and she eats it. Yeah. So, recruiting wise, I don't know how much time we spent on this, considering they brought in 5 freshmen. You got Jacoby. I don't know how you say that. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna leave it alone. I've gotten your name wrong twice. I'm messing things up. I'm not gonna blow his name here. We got walk-ons added to this team, though, Coach. We've got all kinds of stuff, but they clearly still need to be adding talent here and trying to build their recruiting pool for the future. Based on the identity you've seen that they brought in here in this most recent recruiting class, what's next?
I mean, it really just depends on if they have to change things up or not. If they try to status quo, then maybe you try to find somebody that, what if somebody transfers out, like a Nick Beal, for example? Maybe he's tired of doing whatever, right? So, it's a really good question. They've got a lot of freshmen on this team, so my thought process is probably not. But we could easily see maybe something like another big, right? Maybe you try to get a true point guard in the system, but then again, it's going to be, how does Vic do that, right? I mean, he's a junior, so only got 1 more season left. So, there's a lot of ways they could go, but it also just depends on how they do this season.
I'm hoping they listen to us, Coach. I'm hoping they listen to you. Forget that. I'm hoping Coach Rhodes listens to you, and they just trot out big after big. Amar Food, check him out. Check in Stevie J. Check him out. Bring in Big SJO. Check him out. Bring in Big Marcus Lofton. And what you know is when you head into the Bryce Jordan Center, you're coming out black and blue. That's how you're gonna win there with Penn State. But let's move on to another team who did not play that type of game, and I fully expected them to last season. Let's talk a little Ohio State. Ohio State, if we could. Jake Diebler there, 2 seasons hasn't looked great. The system there, I don't believe, matched what they had last season with Big Cody Johnson. Cody Johnson played a lot on the perimeter, but you still got Brian Webb there. You still got the fan favorite Bo Pagnotti and the Pagnotti posse going crazy. You got they're a bit undersized. Wasn't a great defensive team last season. You bring in another team, bringing in a slew of freshmen. I'll let you have the floor first because there are some things I like here. There are some things that I like, but Coach Lightle, tell me. Here's what I want to know from you. What is the identity of this team going to be? Because I didn't see one last season. I see a lot of pieces here, and Jake Diebler does not seem to have Coach Diebler does not seem to have an identity himself. What are they going to be doing out here?
I feel like with what Coach Diebler's trying to do is kind of like what you did as a kid, right? If you ever went to like McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, you got a bunch of buddies with you and you take pickles and have pickle races. You just throw them up against the window and see which pickle gets to the bottom first. That's where I feel like they're at, right? I think Coach Diebler's just in his office. He's just throwing pickles against the glass. And he's like, all right, I got this kind of game plan, this kind of game plan, this kind of game plan. Whichever one hits the bottom first wins, right? And that's the game plan we're going with. I truly don't know what this team's going to be. It's really interesting what they have brought in. There's really two guys that I'm really focused on. One of them, I feel like what they may have listened to you a little bit, right? And talking about how they were not good defensively. What do? They go get Ace London, right? Ace London is an elite defender, right? This is a guy that could come in and instantly make a difference on the defensive side of the ball. So I love the addition of Ace London. The question is going to be, can Ace London produce on the other side of the court, or is he just a one-side court kind of kid, right? Time will tell. But the other guy that I'm really kind of interested in is a guy maybe nobody's talking about is Jarrell Thrash, right? 6'10", 229. This is a guy that, again, maybe Diebler is trying to think defensively here a little bit, and this is a guy that is just a paint guy. Like, if you come in the paint, you got to meet Jarrell Thrash, right? Now, offensively on the other side, same situation, not really good offensively. So now you've got Ace London, who's going to be at the 3. You've got Thrash, who's at the 5. So there's two guys that are not known to be offensively. Where's the offense going to come from? That's really the question, right? This team, in my mind, doesn't really have a number one option. I mean, Bo Pagnotti is technically, I guess you want to call him the number one. But this is really about a team that is built for team ball, right? And when I coached Beyond the Arc, I mean, that was what I loved, was team ball and getting everybody involved. So this is really, I feel like, a type of team that I would be inheriting or building somewhere, right? And you got to rely on a collective group to get things done. But again, the question is going to be, Pagnotti, yes, he's going to give you 10 points a game. Where's the rest of it going to come from, right? I mean, you got Marlo Fultz on the bench who averaged just over 10 a game as well. But where does it going to come from? And in a conference where Ohio State finished like Penn State, right? They only got 5 wins in the conference. It just doesn't look good for them.
I'm gonna take a little bit of a different stance. I love some of the pieces that are here, Coach Lightle. And do I think it leads to a better record at the end of the day? I think this is a good platform. I think, and I'm seeing some people in the chat saying the same thing. I think that's Coach Skinny. He is the greatest Louisville fan that there is. I don't know how Wake Forest feels about that at all. But I seen him mention it, and I have to agree. Brian Webb, great player. Yeah. He can score. He can penetrate. But he's one of those guys, reminds me of Cuttino Mobley, if you guys ever watched the Rockets back then. He would only get an assist if the ball slipped out of his hand. This guy, the kid's not looking to pass. And he can score, but the efficiency between him and Bo Pagnotti, coupled with the fact that they're not great defensively, makes it challenging. But the problem with that is, and what I was leading to, Trey Greer is a knockdown shooter. Yeah. I'm a big-time Trey Greer fan. Ethan Alexander, 6'8", 210. He can play about 3 positions on the court, offensively and defensively. None of these guys that I just mentioned are particularly going to put the ball on the floor and go get their own shot, but they are excellent in a role. So to me, this gives this team time to develop. Ace London, Ethan Alexander, Jarrell Thrash, you mentioned him too. Defensively great, but this kid, he to me reminds me of a DeAndre Jordan, not just on the defensive end. If you can get him in the right spot with playing opposite of the right perimeter player in the pick and roll, he's a freak athletically. I think there's some good pieces there. And then you have Torrin Trigg, who last season barely saw the floor. At 6'7", he can defend in the post, but he can also shoot. I think this season, I say all that to say, I think this season is a wash. What do they say? Wash, cooked. There's so many different phrases they all use right now. But I think this is a platform season for Ohio State. I think it's something for them to build off of. When Brian Webb and Pagnotti see their way out the door, I think there's some positivity to be had here. Let me ask you this before we get to predictions. You said Pagnotti, you kind of see him as the number one. Brian Webb possibly the number one. Do you think that at any point in the season, Diebler is willing to hand the keys over or try something different? Or is he just going to say, because we saw it last season, Cody Johnson, we thought he was going to really take control of his team, and we just saw the ball in Brian Webb's hand again. Do you think he'll relinquish control or Webb will relinquish control, or he'll allow it to go elsewhere?
I mean, at this point, I don't see why you wouldn't, right? I think if you, by the time, here's a prediction, right? And maybe we could just timestamp this. If Ohio State is struggling, which I feel like they're going to, it could almost see Trey Greer somehow, some way finding his way to the starting role.
Yeah.
Because you want somebody on that second team, on that second unit that can be able to at least produce some offense, and Trey Greer is that guy. But let's say, I know Pagnotti's a favorite, but let's say Pagnotti struggles a little bit this season. Let's say Brian Webb struggles a little bit this season. Brian Webb's a good as a slashing, what I would call a slasher type of guy. He's not really a guy that's a shooter, right? The question is when you need to generate some offense, do you switch that up, right? I feel like you can't, if you're struggling by the time you get to the Big Ten, you got to change something up, Diebler, right? And one of those things that they could do is somebody like a Trey Greer that could come in, because if he starts knocking down shots, which we know he can, we've seen it. If he knocks down shots, then it'd be really hard to, if one of those guys in the backcourt is struggling, to not put Greer in place.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of movement. I can see him moving his way into the starting lineup. Bo Pagnotti did come off the bench in high school. He had some moments off the bench last season. He has no ego. He was willing to come off that bench and provide that spark. I could see that. Ace London, I think he's a lock in that starting lineup just because of how he defends and he attacks. But between your center, your power forward, there's a few spots up for grabs on this the Ohio State squad. Let's shift gears here and talk about what we really need to be talking about before we leave. Verbal commitment from one of the top recruits in all of high school, and one of the more notable high school basketball players in some time, in Monte Parson. It's just verbal, so you never know. But that's one of the other reasons why I think it's a platform season for Ohio State. Is there anything they need to add? Well, there's lots they need to add. But what do you bring in with Parson, and do you have the anticipation he comes in the season following, and you just build around him a season from now?
I mean, that would be what you would hope that would happen, right? And, my mom always said, like, nothing's solid, nothing's committed until you sign that piece of paper, right? So, I mean, until I see him put pen to paper, I mean, anybody can go up and nab Monte Parson, right? But if he does stay with his commitment, I think that's going to be a big piece. And Diebler, I feel like, would have to build around Monte Parsons, right? He's just that good of a player. So, recruiting wise, though, like I said, I mean, you got a couple of seniors on this roster, right? You got Fultz, you got Eckstein. Those are two seniors. One of those, Fultz being kind of like that back to the post type of player. But I feel like what you already got in there, you can easily replace. But so, I mean, I think you just keep continuing with trying to build your defensively better, right? And then, from there, let's see what Greer can do. Let's see what, maybe London produces a jump shot, right? Maybe he works on that during practice.
We've seen some during some of those open runs.
We've seen some during, he's got the talent to do it, right? He just, again, transitioning from prep ball, SWU, we all know it's a process. You're not going to come out of the gate unless you got that top tier talent. So let's see what they can do development wise. I don't expect anybody's going to be expecting Ohio State. Even Ohio State fans are probably not expecting them to be, at the upper echelon level, right? So let's see what happens. They did make it to Hoops area last season, but I feel like they have the opportunity to right be on that fringe, one of those first four or last four in, first four out scenarios, right? And let's see if they can actually step it up this year now.
Hey, there's a song by Fantasia. No, I don't listen to Fantasia. My wife does, so I've heard it. But the song's called Lose to Wins. And the hook says sometimes you got to lose to win the game. I don't know if they're losing out this season, but this is Ohio State fans. Just let your team get through the season and hope that they get that big prize of Monte Parson. By the way, shout out Monte Parson, one of the top 10 engaged members in the SimWorld community this past month. Won a good little merch prize. It's nice. I don't even have those joints yet. So, yeah, congratulations to him. So, Ohio State, let's move on. I knew you were the person to have on this Midwest I knew you were the guy, CC. Anybody you want to shout out before we move on? There's some people in the chat here talking it up, or you want to shout out any of your former players or anything before we move on?
I mean, we can always shout out some people, right? I mean, Coach Pope in there, right? B-Ron, the man, the myth, the legend, B-Ron. Every time I hear B-Ron do his intro for SimWorld today, whenever he does the hosting, it's always just magical. Biff Markham, shout out to him too. And then really just any player that I have coached before. I mean, when you look at, we're not talking SEC basketball right now, but I'm telling you, man, Jackson Sutton's going to be a force at Mississippi State. Just saying. So shout out to them guys. But like I said, man, this is my type of basketball talking right here with Big Ten. So, but yeah, I'm glad that everybody's watching and enjoying the show. Skinny in there too. Shout out to Skinny as well. Can't wait to see what he does at this level.
Yeah. Well, we talked ACC. We didn't spend a bunch of time. Good luck to you, sir. That ACC is going to be tough to you, Coach Skinny. And you got to get one recruiting year under your belt. Is my estimation. I'm always keep it real. I don't think the recruiting odds of the recruiting done prior to you getting there was in your favor, sir. But
and you better be just calling Tim Duncan constantly, getting him on the trail with you.
Call Randolph Childress. Anybody here knows who Randolph Childress is, I know that you're a real one. Buckets. All right.
There you go.
Indiana, let's talk some Hoosier basketball. Let's talk about another team that lost a big piece of their squad. Mackenzie Mbako moves on to SWBA. Coach Mike Woodson has to figure out how to fill that void. He brings in Andrew Gibson out of Indiana. I know you know a lot about him, Coach. Brings in James Hoops. Bunde Thunder is going to be injured. We already know he's before starting the season. Hope he recovers. But they do bring back Brian Wilder. He was a leader for this team. He's already the team captain once again. Keontae Dior, another kid that I'm really high on. I like the hardworking athletes. 7-7 last season in conference. 17-13 did not make much noise in Hoopsteria. What's the outlook for this team, Coach?
I want to first off give everybody grief not knowing that IU was a blue blood. Like, they may not be a blue blood now, but they have always been considered a blue blood. I just want to get that out there. But second, I'm telling you right now, and this is going to be a theme for this conversation with IU, Mike Woodson is coaching for his job. That's all there is to it. He is coaching for his job because there is a lot of faithful for IU basketball. And it may not be very public, but trust me, being from the Midwest, I know a lot of people that love Bloomington and love IU, and they are calling for this guy's job. And the thing about it is that, look, you got Dior that's going to be returning, right? I like what he can bring to this team. He's a great finisher around the rim. That's a guy that's going to be able to get buckets. I want to see how Andrew Gibson does in this starting lineup, right? I mean, you bring him in, 6'10", 235. The guy can shoot, right? I mean, he is such a good shooter, such a big talent, all-American guy, right?
Doesn't he just feel like a Hoosier? Isn't it just like
he
that?
Does, dude. I mean, he is 1,000% a definition of a Hoosier, right? When I think of Andrew Gibson, I really think of like a Brian Evans, right? Like, if you remember Brian Evans from back in the 90s, like, that's who I think of when it comes to him, right? A guy that just can just shoot all day. He's kind of a bigger guy. I think Brian Evans is like 6'7", 6'8", maybe a little bit shorter, but just a guy that just sits in his backyard. He's got a hoop that's attached to a barn somewhere, right? I'm sure Andrew Gibson probably the same thing. I mean, he's from Zionsville, so it's kind of like city-ish, but there's probably still a little bit of country left in Zionsville. But like I said, I love what he brings to this team, right? But the question is, can Mike Woodson get him to be that guy that he's going to be early on? Because like I said, again, I feel like he is coaching for his job. And James Hoops, another guy that can really do a good thing, and bring in some talent. But again, you got a lot of guys that are just kind of meh, right? BJ Jones, not really anything, right? It's really like a team of just a bunch of misfits in my mind. And Woodson is the type of coach that needs to have that solidified talent, right? And I think that's what Gibson brings. But are you putting a lot of pressure on the freshman early? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, they're really going to need him. We know Coach Woodson
They're
likes
going
to
to need
slow.
him hardcore.
Yeah, he likes to slow it down, so that puts even more pressure on your scorers to go up against a set defense. But again, you got Brian Walder coming back, almost 4 assists a game. Shia Winterton, he can give him some relief defensively because he's going to need Andrew Gibson, not known as a great defender just yet. Mike Woodson refuses to go into a zone. He refuses to press, do anything to kind of change up that defense. So he just lets his team get beat up on a little bit. This team struggled defensively last season, even with Mbako. Do you think Gibson fills that Mbako role, though? 6'10", a little heavier, can play in the post, but really more of a perimeter-oriented player, just like Mbako was there around 6'9", 6'10". Is he going to try and just force him to be that same thing, or is he going to let him play his game?
Woodson, in my mind, is one of the most stubborn coaches in SimWorld U.
I feel like you might want his job, Coach. I feel like you might want this gig when you leave CBS.
I'm not saying it like that. I mean, the phone lines are always open in that situation. But no, what I'm saying is I feel like he's just going to make him into a stretch four, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really kind of what Gibson is. I mean, he is a guy that can shoot from the outside. I mean, he's got a good shot. They're not a team that's really about pounding it inside, right? So they're not going to do that. And Gibson isn't that type of player. You put Gibson down on the post like that, just don't. He's not that type of player in my mind. So, again, he's going to have to figure out something to make this work. And if he doesn't, then, as I said, go ahead, because you can easily get him some nice luggage. And I think IU fans will probably chip in for that. But like I said, again, Gibson is going to be that guy that is just going to be relied on this season, and I feel like that may be the wrong idea. I think you need to let Gibson kind of develop into this role. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he needs time to develop, and you need some other options besides him, because teams, like a Wisconsin, we're going to talk about Iowa with that size, right? I mean, what are they going to do, right? And if they're able to just defend Gibson and Dior, it doesn't really, you shut down 2 guys, that's pretty much it for IU.
Yeah, indeed. I tell you what Indiana needs. They're going to be hurting without Bunde Thunder. I know he's just a freshman, but I think they were expecting even more shooting from this team. That's what Coach probably wanted to build around, was just tons of shooting. That is college basketball. Spread them out, knock it down. And what else are they missing? Bring back Coach Bobby Knight. Just grab a player by the jersey and just say, get it together. Just throw a chair on the floor, slap a ref. Like, that toughness is needed. If Woodson's out, I'm sorry, Coach. Lightle. I'm not voting for you to take over the gig. I see B-Ron in there. I'm not voting for Dominguez. None of that. I'm sending a petition with as many signatures as I can get to bring Bobby Knight somehow. To somehow bring Bobby Knight to the team. Y'all gotta forgive me. I get crazy on Thursdays.
I need that. I mean, you're not wrong, right? You need that tough mental coach, right? I need a guy that's going to go out there and choke someone like Neil Reed, right? I need that, and that's something that IU hasn't had for multiple years.
Right? Did he go unconscious? No. It's just a little choke.
It was just, I mean, it is nothing that I have never gotten from my dad, right? So, like, it is what it is. But like I said, this is a team that is based in Indiana, and you would think that all Indiana has is shooters, but this IU Hoosier roster does not have shooters. So, I mean, you got Andrew Gibson, probably maybe your best shooter.
Maybe.
I mean, really, that was sad to say, but that may be the case. So, I think if you're going to be looking, my mind, first off, I think Coach Woodson does not need to be there. I think this has got to be the last season. If they don't exceed expectations, if they go 7-7 again in this conference, it's time to go, right? And there's plenty of prep coaches. I would put some prep coaches in there before I would put Mike Woodson in there, right? Just saying. But this is a team that needs shooting. Anytime that anybody has talked about how good IU basketball is, it has always been because they can shoot the rock. If they don't have the players to shoot the rock, IU is not a good basketball team. Never has been, doesn't matter who the coach is. So it's just that Indiana mentality, for Indiana Hoosier mentality. They kind of don't play like a Big Ten team, but if they're able, because I mean, even when you look at back in the day, like Jared Jeffries, for example, wasn't really a guy that was in the post and did all that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had to go look at somebody like Thomas Bryant, for example. He was kind of a guy that was in the post. DJ White, trying to go old school, like going back. So this is a team, like I said, that needs, if they're going to go and hit the recruiting trail, this is the team that needs some shooters, and they need them desperately.
For sure. I see Coach Drayton. I see a couple other people saying just a little choke is wild. Coach Drayton, a little choke has to be acceptable in your eyes because it is what the Beast of the East did late in, I think it's called the Last Dance last season in the tournament. Just a little choke.
Ooh.
Shout out Coach Lovelace in the building. Hey, Coach Lovelace has joined the chat. Good to see you here, sir.
Coach?
We'd like to see you. We'd like to see you more often as well. You have such a beautiful smile, sir. I know if there's one way to make Coach Lovelace uncomfortable, that was it. All right, let's move on. Let's talk Michigan. Let's talk about a team who, in a lot of people's eyes, they underachieved. In some people's eyes, they overachieved. Quite anomalous and ambiguous of a team. This Dusty May-led squad is another 7-7 middle of the road. The Big Ten had to be tough last season. Everybody in conference play was just beating up on one another. 14-16 though overall record. Richard Pizarski's gone, one of the more highly touted draft prospects. That kid was getting it in. We thought it would be the Lorenzo Phenom show. Nope. It was all about RP. But Phenom guy had his moments, so he also had his moments in the media. There were some interesting things that went on there. But he's going to return 17, 18 points a game, almost 9 rebounds a game. Say what you want about the kid. He can get a bucket. He can score in the post. He has a versatile game. He's a basketball player, a high-level basketball player at that. You bring back Samuel Bogus, one of the favorite point guards out there, just a real court general, if you will. And you bring back some other pieces who really stepped up in moments, and Carlos Buffini and whatnot. Freshman-wise, no major names joining this team. DeAndre and Hilario. I'm a fan of all the Hilario brothers, to be fair. I know you know this one too, Coach. I know you know this one. Triple J. Not going to be playing this season, but they did bring him in. We'll see what that leads to. And then they even got a little international with Nikolai Vladimirovich.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got that one. Go figure I got that one right. They brought in some stuff. And it's Michigan. Dusty May, it's Michigan. You still have your core pieces there. Can they improve on the record that they had last season?
I believe they can. First off, I am a huge Dusty May guy, right? He came from a crap town in Terre Haute, Indiana, but I love the dude. Fantastic. Here's the thing, right? Lorenzo Phenom, we know what he can do, right? I mean, this is the guy third in the country with 12 double-doubles last season, averaged 17 a game, 8.5 rebounds. I mean, this is like the prototypical guy you want on a Big Ten basketball squad. And look, I love the additions that they've made here, right? Darren Harris coming in, Hilario coming in. Hilario isn't a guy that really jumps out stat-wise, and I love having Coach Lovelace in here too, because these guys both came from Heartland. So he'd be able to give us some good feedback on this. But Hilario, 4 points a game, 2 boards a game, not really known for that, but this is a guy that can create his own offensive score when he can, right? If he's given that opportunity. But with these two guys, and Harris and Hilario, weren't really like the guys over there last season, right? So they were some key pieces, but they weren't like the guys that were looked at as like the top ones, right? So you look at it and say, okay, now they're going to get their opportunity here in Michigan. I mean, they're redoing that front court. Those two guys are starting. So I feel like a lot of the success of this team is going to be focused around on those two guys if they were able to mesh well with Lorenzo Phenom. And here's the thing too: Samuel Bogus fits this offense perfectly. He's a great passer. He when you need him to hit a bucket in a key game, he will.
Big shot
He
Bog.
can knock down those shots. We've seen it. Big shot Bog, right? He's not really the greatest defender on the planet, but you could take those shots all day. And I mean, this is the guy that was a former All-American at one point, right? So I feel like with what Dusty May has been able to bring in and gel together, I feel like this Michigan team, yes, they're 7-7. They made it to the Super 16, had a nice little run there, right? They lost a fellow Big Ten team in Illinois, who we'll talk about later on. But Michigan, again, I feel like they're in a great place, even though they lost Pizarski. And I feel like that this is the team that's going to be able to stay right where they are or even exceed those expectations.
So before we get to an actual prediction there, I got 3 things I want to ask you about. I want to make these points and see what your stance is on them. Number one, you talked about Lorenzo Phenom. I'll make a couple of statements. If we were running Meet Me at the Rim right now, I would do that, but I'm not. Lorenzo Phenom, you brought him up and talked about how well he plays with other teammates. For all that he's been in the media where people have seen him as a bad guy, a heel, and how can anyone want to play with him? He's enjoyed great success alongside teammates with the exception of, I guess, one he had an altercation with in high school. They all love him. Want to get your take on that, right? There's no real question there. Just get your take on that. Yeah. Secondly, lots of freshmen starting for lots of teams, not just in the Big Ten, across SimWorld U. So wondering how you feel about that, like that new take on things. And then lastly, talking about Big Shot Bog here for a second. 4.4, I think he was second in the nation in assists per game, but not efficient otherwise, and they struggled defensively. And it was very much so because Bogus in that 3-2 zone just didn't get to his spots. Darren Harris, Adrian Hilario, is that zone going to look a little different this season? So that's 3. If you could tackle all 3 of them for me. Yeah, one, I mean, Phenom in my mind, the past, whatever, right? I mean, this guy is the focal point of your team. He's going to be a lottery pick coming up here sooner or later, I'm assuming, right? If Dusty May's cool with it, I'm cool with it, right? I don't mind my guy having a little bit of an attitude. I'm fine with that, right? Especially, again, I will talk about it. Big Ten basketball is one of those conferences that you need some grit, you need some toughness, and Phenom fits that role, and I'm perfectly fine with that. When it comes to all these teams and seeing the starting freshmen, that just shows what kind of talent is at the prep level, right? And you got some guys that, I mean, there's a lot of freshmen that are going to be starting, right? And there's going to be plenty of conferences that everybody's going to talk about, and we're talking about all kinds of freshmen coming in and starting, right? I mean, you're seeing teams with 2-3 freshmen. I mean, look at, Iowa, for example, I believe had, those 2 guys that are coming in and starting, 3 of them actually. And there's probably more that's going to be down the road who we'll talk about later, but it just shows the talent level at that position. And these coaches are just salivating at the opportunity to be able to fill some key pieces with some young guys. Then, the question is, and it's always going to be, can they transition from that prep level to the college level, be successful? We will find out. And then the third question, defense.
With Bogus, right, with the defense.
With Hilario, more particularly with Hilario.
Yeah, with Hilario, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a big question, right? And that's why I was saying at the beginning of this was a lot of it's going to be focused on how those 2 guys mesh, right? And when I say that, I'm talking about offensively and defensively, right? Because Bogus is not a great defender, right? I mean, they play that 3-2 zone, and so he's really not a guy that's going to be able to man up anybody. But the question is defensively wise, can they be better? And we're just going to have to time will be able to tell, right? But if there's anybody that I feel like that can get things done defensively and get their players going on that side, it's going to be Coach May.
Okay. All right. Before we get on here, I went a little bit out of order. Wanted to throw you a little curveball there. Quick question though. I know you got your ear to the street. You've got your ear to the streets there in the Midwest. Really not so much of what do they need, but have you heard, or is there I know because I know the prep streets pretty well as also. Anyone you think that they should really be targeting and recruiting to make their way to Michigan?
That's a really good question. I mean, when you look at this roster, right, if nobody tries to transfer out, I mean, technically they could lose nobody. But it's really just going to depend on who tries to go, right? We know Phenoms. I'm not talking about Phenom. I'm leaving Phenom out of this. That's kind of a natural. But what's going to happen with JJJ, right? Is he going to be able to come in? If he's inactive this season, we'll see what happens with that in the future. But I feel like you have to go out and get a big guy, and I'm not really sure who can really fill that role. And I want to see, I mean, maybe you try to go after like Jick Lee, right? I know he got a verbal commitment or whatever from South Carolina or whatnot, right? I think it was announced. But again, hey, I don't see a signature on a piece of paper.
How many goddamn scholarships do they have available in South Carolina? My God.
Dude, I'm telling you what, I think Coach Pope has just dug into that wallet. And maybe he's trying to do like a Steve Ballmer thing. Maybe he's got some tree company we don't know about, right? So, I mean, maybe there was something to that. I don't know, Coach Pope. You may have to tell us what's going on there, Bob. I mean, there may be some hidden funds at the Gamecocks and just thrown at you. But you know what? I mean,
there's a good one in the chat there, Coach. I know I got that little insight. I got a little bit of a lead time on you, Tyree Bush.
Ooh, see, that's another one that I was going to say is Tyree Bush. That's my guy. I'm telling you right now, that would be a perfect piece for Michigan. If Tyree Bush can come in, I mean, he needs to develop a little bit more, right? I mean, he showed what he could do offensively. We already know what he could do defensively, right? The guy's a monster on the defensive end of the floor. And you've seen in some of those games with us last season that, I mean, he was leading scorer in some of those games, right? So he can be that kind of like five guy. And I'll tell you this, and I know this is going to sound crazy, and everybody's going to be like, whoa, hang on, Stacey, back the heck up for a second. I see kind of a younger Shaquille O'Neal. Like, I'm not trying to say like he's going to be that dominant, but this is a guy that with both sides of the court, I feel like he is going to be that guy that could really develop offensively and have that just big tenacity defensive craziness. And I'm not saying he's going to be at that Shaquille level, but I'm talking about Shaquille when he got to LSU.
You know who he reminds me of?
That's what I'm talking about.
It's funny because you say Shaquille and you said a younger version. I think a more modern version of Shaquille, just more defensive minded. He reminds me of Giannis. The way he just moves north and south and goes straight up and down. There's not a lot of wiggle to him, right? There's no boogie, there's no shooting. It's up and down and it is north and south, like just right at you. And what are you going to do about it? Take the physicality.
I don't, in my mind, and maybe I'm just one of those 1% people like that, but I just don't see Giannis as a 5.
No.
So but I don't see Giannis as a 5, but that's why I said Shaquille, because Shaquille, when he came to LSU, was one of those guys that just because he could run up and down the floor, right? I mean, hell, you could throw him at the 1, and he could do that, right? He had such great handles, and that's what I feel like with Tyree, the handling that he has with the ball and the way that he could play offensively. I'm not even talking about his defense. His defense is lights out. But offensively, I feel like Tyree could be a perfect fit, not just for Michigan, but for anybody. And I feel like if you're not a SWU coach right now looking at Tyree Bush, you're crazy.
Yeah, he's probably got a lot of stealth offers coming in. Shout out Coach Hub for that throwing that name in. That's why we want y'all involved in the chat. We're gonna go ahead and hit the pause, but we don't have to talk much more Michigan because why? Why should we? We beat this one down. I tell you, we're running a little long because I'm enjoying the conversation here with Coach Lightle, or Coach Lightle, excuse me. I'm so used to saying it wrong. I've been saying it for like 2 seasons.
You are.
But yeah, we're running a little bit over. But let's go ahead and get this out here for everybody tuned in. We're gonna go ahead and run a little giveaway, but not in the way you think. You know, I always got to make you work for it. Shout out Biff Markham. Got a shirt out of this deal last time. B-Ron, I see you're in here. If you can kind of keep count so we can keep track. First person to invite 5 people into the chat where they say your name, so-and-so invited me, we're going to go big money. We're going to go big money.
Uh-oh.
Let's go big money. Can we go like 8K EMs? Because the trainings are getting ready to roll out, Coach. The mini games and the trainings, individual day-to-day trainings, and they're going to cost. You can't go into the gym for free. So you're going to have to pay for that gym time. So let's see who can invite some people in here, because we got a celeb in the building. We're having a little fun on a Thursday. I have something that is not water in my cup because it's Thursday and I want to have a little fun. So
there you go.
All right, so we talked Michigan, right? Let's talk about the lesser Michigan team. Let's talk Michigan State. Spartans at the Breslin Center. Tom Izzo. I said all that. What a great coach he is. I'm sorry to disrespect the Spartans like that. Tom Izzo, always maximizing what he gets out of his teams in Michigan State. If you want to see a team without a bunch of megastars get it done, you go to Michigan State. They actually outperformed Michigan last season, so pardon me for all that I just said. 8-6 in conference, 20-13. Jai Edge came back from the G League to play for this team in a rule that kind of changed up last season. He's going in his senior year. Almost 16 points a game, 3 assists a game, and 42 threes led this team from 3. Malcolm Chamberlain, a lot of people's favorite big man, he went under the radar until Hoopsteria came and he blocked all shots, camera shots, anything that was involved and named a shot, he was swatting it out the field. He's going to come back. And you got Caden Randolph. You got a lot of pieces there. Shamar Ward as well. Not any major moves as far as freshmen incoming, but they did have a recruiting class. Coach Lightle, are they going to be able to do the same thing that they did last season? Are they going to be able to improve on it? And more so, Jai Edge coming back from the G League to take his second season back into SimWorld U. Is he going to be able to kind of to jump off point from last season and get even better?
Yeah, I feel like if you look at Michigan State, you think of Dennis Green going, they are who they thought they were. This is basically what Michigan State is, right? They are just the model of consistency. Tom Izzo, one of the best to ever do it. I mean, almost 30 years of coaching, has a 70% win percentage. I mean, what else can you say? They didn't really have a big freshman incoming class. There's really not much to talk about. I mean, I like DeMonte Coburn, right? He's the guy that can shoot from the outside. Could be a nice little piece there in the back end of your second unit. But Jai Edge, man, I mean, this is going to be interesting how he plays, right? I mean, coming out of the G League, coming back in, this guy is an elite scorer, probably one of the most elite scorers in the entire conference. And so I want to see what he maybe learned from that time up there, right? And be able to come back. But I feel like this is where Izzo's going to be able to get the most out of his guys. And I feel like that they're just going to be able to run it back and kind of do the same thing. Maybe they try to improve a little bit in their, Hoopsteria run, right? They lost him to Super 16 Xavier, who eventually went on to have a pretty good run themselves. And so, yeah, I feel like with Izzo, you're going to get what you get, right? And what you see on paper. And Michigan State is going to be one of those teams that if they finish with the same record, I wouldn't be shocked.
A lot of just really team ball here. I brought up Jai Edge's name. I brought up, Caden Randolph. But really just tough defensively. They're going to press you all the way up the court. They're going to slow the game down. And Malcolm Chamberlain was one of the leaders in the nation, led the conference in shot blocking. Size-wise, they've got quite a bit of size. Owen Pride looks like he's going to be moving into the starting lineup with this. When we moved from Michigan to Michigan State, I think he was the young man who had issue with Lorenzo Phenom. Is this team going to look any different, or is it going to be classic Tom Izzo basketball?
This is classic Tom Izzo basketball. I mean, when you look at that front court, you got Owen Pride, who's a great interior defender as well, moving in there. So you got a really good, a team that is prepared for Big Ten basketball, right? Big Ten basketball, as I talked about, tough, focusing more on the inside type of basketball, right? What do you got? You got Malcolm Chamberlain and Owen Pride, two guys that can play interior defense very well. So like I said, I just feel like this is going to be the same Tom Izzo run that we see each and every season for the past 30 years.
Okay. And when you say same Tom Izzo run, again, 20-13 last season, made a little bit of a run in Hoopsteria. You want to put some numbers to this? Where do they finish today?
I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they finish with 20 wins again. I mean, I could see maybe
Is that
maybe
the
getting
number?
an extra win.
You saw you tried. I saw you tried. I wouldn't be surprised. We're gonna nail you to a number here, Coach.
Okay, all right. Nail me to a number, right? I'm gonna give them 9 conference wins. I'm gonna give them. Well, I mean, I feel like it's still gonna be 20, but I feel like they're gonna get 9 conference wins. Like I said, right around the same area as they were last season. Now, the question with Michigan State, and it'll always be a question with Michigan State, is they get to the point where they can get into the big dance, then that's when they turn it on, right? So the question really isn't going to be how many wins they get. It's going to be how far can Izzo take them? And I feel like they can get past the Super 16. I feel like they're one of the teams that could potentially be a grade A team.
Ooh. People are going to be bookmarking this episode. That was something great.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Bookmark it.
Anything, we're going to ask same questions here. What do they need to be looking for in recruiting, and have you heard anything?
Personally, haven't heard much, right? They got a kind of a young team, but I mean, again, you're going to lose Jai Edge after this season, right? So you got to be able to get a guy that can come in and be that scorer. Caden Randolph, he's a good player, and he averages over 13 a game last season, right? But Edge can do it all from inside, from outside, right? That's going to be tough to replace. I feel like, the question will be, will Izzo want to go get another guy like that, or is he going to go get like a general type of point guard? That'll be the question. And that's where I think they got to focus on for the upcoming season.
Okay. All right, look at that. I see the chats rolling. We got a few people coming in here. I'll tell y'all right now, what made Biff Markham such a hot topic for me last time is that we saw a lot of people saying so-and-so sent me, but we did not see the viewer count go up. I pay attention to everything, guys. I know what is happening. Coach Lovelace, send them on in, but have them stick around. I'm not. Coach, you still here with me? Looks like we got some technical difficulties. Coach Lightle may have frozen on me. Come back, Coach. Come back.
Are you good? Are you good? There you go.
For those who don't, you know Coach Lovelace. Y'all kind of had a history before joining SimWorld Prep. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
So Coach Lovelace and I go back. I mean, that's a guy that I feel like that the league will need to have their torches and pitchforks ready if he doesn't get an SWU offer. I feel like he should have really been an SWU coach anyway. But again, watch what Heartland's going to be able to do this season. They're always a well-coached team, and there should be plenty of teams that can maybe give Coach Lovelace a call. I mean, come on. I mean, he's not far away from Bloomington. I'm just saying.
That's why you're.
Maybe I'm advocating. Maybe I'll advocate for that a little bit.
All right, fair enough. Let's keep it moving here. We got off track. We're gonna get back on track here. I just kind of those curveballs. Let's talk Rutgers. Let's talk New Jersey now. New Jersey. Why?
New Jersey.
It's just the armpit of America. Just the absolute either it's beautiful green pastures or it's trash. It's New Jersey's just such a place, man. I do like gambling there. I won't lie. Atlantic City's a great place. They only use 3 decks of cards in a few of those casinos. For any of those of you who like to count cards during blackjack, just saying. All right, Rutgers. Dylan Harper is out. But does that open the door for Kamarian Goodyear to really just kind of run rampant with this team, where there were points as a second option last season he looked like a number 1 option? Dylan Harper was on the bench with some questionable coaching from Coach Pikell. Had Harper on the bench at moments. That was a hot topic for media. Orland Mock, y'all know I love defense. He's going to be bringing it back again, hounding players up the court. Jermaine Owens swatting shots. They bring back some good things here in Cuddy Joe, one of the coolest names in the game. But this team underperformed last season. 6-8 in conference, just 15-14 with Dylan Harper. He's no longer there. Coach Lightle, are they gonna improve? And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start a little early on this. Jermaine Owens, when he checks out the game, this team gets awfully small. And I do mean awfully small. What are they going to be able to do, though? Are they going to step it up from here? Are they going to build upon it? Does experience lead this team in a different direction? Is Coach Pikell really just going to run this team into the ground? Be careful with your answer.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how this is going to go, right? Because Goodyear, this is his time, right? And it's going to be hard to replace Harper's production. And I know that they're hoping that Mock the third can do that, but I don't know. It's really tough, and I don't want to talk too much about a New Jersey team because God knows what's going to happen. Right? You never know who's going to come down like from the marsh and do whatever they got to do. I will say though, I do like the addition of Kai Cash.
Yeah.
This is a guy that I feel like it's time they can develop him. And I'm not even going to try to say their coach's name. Is that Pikeli?
Pikel.
Like Pikel. There we go. So I knew I was close.
Bad coach. I'll say it. I'm allowed to say that that's his name. Bad coach.
I mean, he's only got a 54% win percentage, so maybe you're kind of right there. But this is a team that, obviously they relied on Harper quite a bit, and one of the things that they just don't do well is move the ball around. They can shoot from the outside. They're that type of team that's just gonna try to chuck it up from deep. I mean, they have 4 guys on the roster that shot over 33%. But I don't know if, like I said, Goodyear, a lot of it's gonna ride on Goodyear. So another season of, they had that nice little 1-2 punch, but the question is, who's gonna be able to step up besides Goodyear?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have anybody that can do that.
They're definitely going to be struggling to get buckets. Cuddy Joe can get buckets for this team. Justin Solomon, excellent shooter, just did not look so great last year. Another player that I'm going to be looking for on this team, though, Coach, is, or that I'm going to keep my eye out for, Theophilus Monty. I'm well plugged in on SimWorld Prep, well versed. That kid, yep. I think he played in Canada last season. He's from Ontario. He is a very good player from all spots on the basketball court. And I do mean all, offensively and defensively. Looks like he's going to be starting for this team. I tell everyone, just keep your eyes peeled right now in the Jersey Mike's arena. Is that really the name of the arena? Everything is wrong with this team, Coach. Everything. The arena name, the coach, this is wild. But I will tell you, keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be some highlights coming away from this team, so look for them on the SimWorld Top 10. Where do you see Rutgers ending the season, Coach?
I mean, like I said, the question is going to be, what are they going to do? Can Goodyear be that guy? I don't think that they're going to be 15 and 14. I feel like this is like an 11-win team, right? I feel like they're going to take a little bit of a fall. Like I said, they can shoot, and they can do that, but you can't just rely on the 3 ball all day. I mean, some teams try to, but like I said, the question is are they going to be able to do that? And I just feel like they're not. And so 11, I see 13 wins at the most total this season for them, which means that conference play, I can easily see maybe 5 wins max in the conference.
Okay. All right. And recruiting wise, what are they looking for? I mean, I think it's obvious scoring, so I'll just again ask if there's anything in the streets that you heard that they're going after, or any ideas of what you think they should go after.
I mean, a lot of it's going to be depending on what the big guys do. I want to see what Monty does, right? I mean, he's a guy, the frame is nice, 6'9", 236. Jermaine Owen's a guy that I'm pretty familiar with back in my day. He's really more of a defensive guy. He's not an offensive guy, right? You're not going to rely on him. I mean, he did score 6 points a game, but that could have been just, cutting to the basket and, getting an opportunity for a slam. But, I feel like they need to go after a big guy. They don't really have, like, if you could find like a like I said, it just depends on what Monty's able to do. But if Monty doesn't produce like you're saying he might, then maybe you try to go after a 4 that can score.
Yeah. Well, let's keep moving. Let's keep it moving here. We're going to talk Wisconsin. We're running a little long here. And I know we got to get Coach out of here. He's got big moves to make. So let's talk Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Is that the proper way to say that? Wisconsin. Greg Gard.
I mean, they say it weird, so yeah, that's fine.
They say it. I think I nailed it. I think that's exactly how it's said. But yeah, Wisconsin. They're bringing back essentially everything that they had last season. Another year under the belt, Donovan Bird Culver, DBC. 15 points a game, 4 assists. He is a pure scorer. Pure scorer. That kid is a walking bucket. Drake Harville, much the same at 6'2", 172. He's one of the more pure scorers you're going to find at that size. Tamir Johnson, freak athlete. And then they bring in a few different pieces from all over the globe, actually, in recruiting. Oliver West out of Japan. They brought in some hometown flavor from Wisconsin. And then Rafael Lima, giving them a little bit of size from Brazil. Don't know the last time you've seen a Brazilian recruit. Wonder if he brought any ladies with him. Hey, yo. All right. All right, so this team finished 7-7. Again, another middle of the road conference team. 13 and 15 overall record. What do you need to see from this team? How do they get it done, and what is Coach Guard's philosophy going to be?
Yeah, this is an interesting team because I love the trio of Berg, Culver, Harwell, and Johnson, as you mentioned, right? Those are the three guys that are going to be able to lead them, and they're in a better position than a lot of teams are. With the fact that they have a really solidified trio. It may not have produced any wins last season, but, another year under the belt for these kids, right? Berg Culver's, going to be a sophomore now. Harvell's a junior. What I want to see, the interesting piece is going to be Daquan McDougal III.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that is really clean off the glass, seven rebounds a game, but he would get like 2 to 3 offensive boards a game, which can be second chance opportunities. He's a little small, right? I mean, he's 215 pounds. He's not really that beefy guy in the middle, but neither is Rafael Lima. And I mean, let's just call it like it is, right? I mean, if your name is Rafael and you're from Brazil, you're probably not going to have much ladies. So unfortunately, it may not be the ladies. It may not be the ladies you want. Let's put it that way, Yells. But here's the thing, right? Like, obviously, I want to see how McDougal progresses. The second unit looks to be a little bit weak, right? You're going to be really freshman dependent. But you got guys like Oliver West, for example, coming over, from Japan, right? Great distributor. He's a playmaker. This is the guy that can really make some plays maybe on that back end, right? Because that second unit is going to be a key piece for this team. And I feel like Oliver West is somebody that can really help. And then, Colton Bowker, I mean, I believe you may have brought him up, right? I mean, this is the guy that can get his own bucket as well. So let's see how that second unit, develops. But I feel like that Wisconsin has a really good opportunity. And look, Wisconsin is one of those teams that's really Big Ten too, right? I mean, that's why I want to see how McDougal progresses, because Wisconsin's had some really good big guys back in the day. Frank Kaminsky, Ethan Happ, if you remember that name from back in the day. So, those are guys that, that were big, time pieces for Wisconsin basketball, and they need a big guy to be that. And I feel like if McDougal can progress into that, then I feel like that this team has an opportunity to really turn things around.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent on this team. They got a lot better as the season went on. Hopefully they can build upon that. Recruiting wise, well, no predictions. Are they going to be better or worse than last season, Coach?
Recruiting wise, I feel like they're going to be better. Right? I mean, they're definitely going to be better. With the pieces that they've got in here, like I said, again, let's see what that second unit could do, and then that's where you're going to be able to maybe halfway through the season say, okay, this guy isn't producing, this guy isn't producing. Maybe I need to go find the next guy at the prep level, because we all know, as we've seen with all these freshmen are coming in this season, there's going to be a nice crop in next season as well, my man. So I feel like coaches are really going to be able to be hitting that recruiting trail hard. And if you do that, you're going to be able to turn your teams around very quickly.
Okay. And then you said they're going to have a better recruiting season or a better season in general?
I think they're going to have a better season. My apologies. I think they're going to have a better season in general. I think they're going to. I mean, if we're going to give out prediction time, is it time for prediction time?
Yes.
Prediction time. They finished 13-19. Don't be shocked if those numbers flip. Don't be shocked if those numbers flip. If McDougal III can progress, that gives you 4 legitimate options, right? Especially if he's able to clean on the offensive side and get buckets that way. Then this is a team that I can easily see flipping the script, going 19-13. I am going to put it on there right now that they are going to finish with 19 wins this season. And they were a 13 seed last season in Hoops area and lost to San Diego State. I feel like they're going to be a way higher seed than that.
I don't know if it's possible to see my eyebrows raised from under the shades, but I hope you can.
Them things are large. Things are like blue blocker sunglasses.
Blue blocker. Do you remember that? You remember the rap? Duckers, whatever they were saying. With my blue. Oh my God. These are not that big, Coach. Come on, man. These are not that
they
big.
look. I mean, my camera right now is a little small, but I mean, them glasses are still standing out.
Oh, can I? I'm gonna get on some fly shit for a second. So, just so you know, for all of my wrestling fans, I know I see a couple of you in the chat. Y'all are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. I searched vigorously for these shades, and Wifey had to help me find them. I had to. Okay. I saw a wrestler on WWE by the name of Carmelo Hayes wear some lenses that he wore every time, or he still does, right? And I was like, what the hell are those? And then Wifey found them. And I was like, what is this brand? And I said, I'm going to need a little color here. I need some, where's the Gucci ones? And she did her searches. No one shops like a woman is the moral of the story. No one. That's true. Can find water on Mars on discount, on sale. So yeah, she found them. I got to rock the shades. These are not as big as blue blockers, Coach. Don't do me like that, man. Don't do me like that. All right. Let's talk Purdue Boilermakers. And while I pull this up, what is a Boilermaker? Why is that their name? Anyone that wants to put any information in the chat, I'm not saying you're going to get EMs for it, because I know you guys want to be rewarded for everything. Just let me know. Just inform a brother. Like, I want to know why. So give us some info. Matt Painter. Pretty decent record for this team. They led the conference last season, 10-4 record, 18-12 overall. Did not pan out well in Hoopsteria for them, though. But they're bringing back Pierre Dupont, 17 points, 8 rebounds of get the hell out of my way. I'm a big boy. And he works in the post. Not a lot of national exposure for this team. But don't tell their opponents that, because they had to deal with it night in and night out. Ian Krimmer's coming back as a senior. He protects that rim. That's more size down low. And Darius Player and Majere Williams. These guys were kind of the offensive catalyst from the perimeter. Good playmakers and scorers. Darius Player more of a point forward, if you will. There's a lot of good things here, and they brought in, I got to go ahead and jump to it. We're not going to wait for the recruiting section. They brought in my guy Dexter Jackson from Tennessee. That's how you have to say that, Coach. Do not just say Dexter Jackson. You have to say it like Eddie Murphy as a clump. Dexter Jackson. Like, you have to say it really hard. And they brought in Jair Dunn, 6'10", just long arms free. This team is actually pretty scary, but it's going to be dependent to me on how Coach Painter decides to run this offense. What are your expectations from this team this season?
I mean, anytime I have to talk about Purdue is just awful. So going back to why they're called the Boilermakers, I believe it was actually, if I remember correctly, it was a slur back years ago. It wasn't really a slur, but they took it as a slur. I think there was a writing about how like they really focus on engineering, and so that's where they got that from.
You beat the chat. Y'all missed out, chat. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. I mean, I know that there was talks of a train, but I think that's just because that's their logo. But it's really just they talk about, because Purdue's an engineering school, so I think that's where it comes from, if I remember right. But so yeah, I mean, this is a team. Obviously, we talked about them. They're the conference champs, right? And they had the best record last season, 10-4. I mean, they were a 7th seed in Hoopsteria. They lost in the first round, which serves them right. But I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, Pierre Dupont, I mean, this is the guy that's going to come back. I mean, 16.5 a game, 7.5 boards. I mean, this is just a prototypical Big Ten guy. Really will be kind of like the main focal point for this team this season. But there are some pieces I like, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this correctly.
Come on, Coach.
You're going to have to give me a little bit of grief on that, but I mean, I can't say it right.
You can try it. You can attempt it. It's hard to try.
What is it, like Dexter Jackson, right?
Yes.
So this is, playing from Southeast Select. I mean, he's kind of like a slashing type of guy, right? He would be a perfect PNR player, right? I mean, just a guy that you can really put in the pick and roll and try to get him in that kind of situation. With Ian Krimmer, I mean, this is the guy's 7'2", 230. I mean, that's a big boy too. So using that in a pick and roll situation, Pierre's no slouch either. I mean, 247 pounds. So Purdue, like I said, one of those type of just teams that's just grit, and they play in the post. Matt Painter, unfortunately, one of the best coaches in the Big Ten. I'm letting my bias show too much for Purdue, but yeah, I mean, but one of the things that this team has a problem with, shooting. Especially from the outside. I mean, their best shooter was 27%.
They were dead last in the country in shooting from deep last season, Coach.
Yeah, correct. And they're not normally known. And they're not normally known to be like that, right? They're not a team that's built for the outside. Never really have. That's not really Matt Painter's game. So, seeing a guy like Majara Williams is going to be, he's a great combo guard, and he's going to be able to lead that team, right? But it's really going to be about Pierre DuPont and Ian Krimmer. And even Darius Player. I mean, he's kind of the guy that's going to be able to knock down that mid-range jumper, and they got a lot a great pieces.
Am I seeing this correctly, though, Coach? I don't want to cut you off here. As we look over this roster a little bit here, though, what a growth spurt Majera must have had. And you look at this roster, we say that, talk about the size they have on the front court, but
yeah,
I mean, they can just go long on you all day long, 6'7", 6'6" across the board. Defensively, that's going to have to be a big challenge for teams going up against them, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, especially in that backcourt, right? I mean, 6'7", 6'6". I mean, that's a big backcourt, and probably one of the biggest ones in the Big Ten, if I remember correctly. So, with what they could do, like I said, the guards isn't really the point here. Like, I think Jackson's going to be just a great player for him, but it's really going to be about what they could do in the post. And they may even be able to have an opportunity where, if Williams is able to maybe back down or do whatever, right? They can kind of move some pieces around, but they're going to be able to play well inside the post. And Purdue is just going to be that team that everybody's going to be looking at because they were at the top. They won the conference. So they already have the target on their back.
Wow. At one point, they were 18th in SP. The SP25, yep. For those who don't know about Purdue, this was a ranked team for much of the season last season. Again, conference champions. So, yeah, they can get the job done. What's your prediction? Did you put a number on it?
I'm going to put a number on it. I feel like with DuPont, playing the way he is, I want to see what they do with Jackson. I'm really interested in that. This, in my mind, this is a 20-win team. A great opportunity for them to go back into the conference championship, maybe even possibly go back-to-back with it. There's going to be another team we'll talk about here that might give them a challenge. That did give them a challenge last season, maybe do it again. But I feel like 20 wins and a good opportunity for a conference title for Purdue.
Great season last season. Expecting even more. I see in the chat people are expecting a lot of Purdue. Sorry, Coach. I know you I know that just really tears you apart. Here's the last question before we get out of here. And this one's probably going to hurt a little bit too. They have good veteran leadership, good experience on this team. They've brought in youth, but they also have players outgoing where they can infuse even more recruiting and really just kind of build this program into maybe being elite in the Big Ten for years to come. What are they looking for to bring in? Obviously, you mentioned shooting. Is there anything else that you think they should be looking at, or are there any names out there in prep that would fit well?
I mean, this could be another one where Tyree Bush would fit. Right? You got Ian Krimmer that's going to be leaving after this season, right? 7', 230. You bring in a guy like Tyree Bush. He's able to come in. I mean, he's young too, though, so he may have another season or two. But, yeah, I mean, somebody like a Tyree Bush could be somebody that could jump in there. But again, I think Tyree is only 16, if I remember correctly.
I'll have to go look that up. This is a SimWorld U show today, so I know nothing about prep today other than names. So, now see how we got off the hook there? You see that? That's good. We got fouled. That's why we go hard in the paint, because if you can't make the shot, just get to the free throw line. That's what we just did. So,
yep. That's all we can do.
All right, well, let's keep moving, man. You ever been to Philadelphia?
Once, and it wasn't pretty.
All right, so that's not what this IL stands for. You ever been to Illinois?
Plenty of times.
All right, and you made it out safely. That is good to know.
Yep.
Let's talk Illinois basketball. If we're talking Illinois basketball, there's one name we're gonna say. We're gonna say Jordan. I'm not talking Michael Jordan. Go figure. D'Angelo Jordan. D-Joe is what they call him. 19 points. One of the more exciting freshmen in the country last season. Look, he's a lot like Kevin Durant. Let's just say it. Like there's nothing else to say. He's tall. He's long. He can shoot.
Yeah.
He can get to the bucket like Kevin Durant used to in his younger years. He's elite, and he's already expected to be a top draft pick in the SWBA. So he's coming back, obviously, for the 2 and thru rule. They got Senso Ferdinand Harris, who was just ball hawking last season. But other than that, not a whole lot here. I mean, they're bringing back the same thing that they brought last year, but this was absolutely nothing more than the D-Joe show. 8-6 in conference, 18-14. We saw some flashes from Gabor George. That is such a fun name. Gabor George. All right, let me hold on to that one. And then Zay Gore, people expected a lot more of him. Highly inefficient last season. Some beautiful highlights because he's such a great passer, but just very inefficient. What do you, aside from D-Joe, right, which we know what he's going to look like individually, but as a team, how good or how bad will this team be this season?
I think this team's going to be better than what they were last season.
Tell us why, Coach.
This is my feeling, right? I mean, obviously we already know what Jordan could do, so we'll just leave him out of this, right? You know, and we know what Zay Gore could do. I mean, he is really just a pass first, shoot later guy, and so you know he's gonna be able to beat that. You know, I bring it up again, talking about quarterback of the offense. So, you know, he's gonna be able to be that guy. This is somebody that I want you to keep an eye on, and I want everybody to keep an eye on. And that's going to be not Jamal Harper. My apologies. Jaden Hawkins is somebody you got to keep an eye on. This guy, he doesn't turn the ball over. He's very well with the ball, but this guy can get a bucket from anywhere. You want to talk about a guy that can pull some Steph Curry shit? This is one of them guys.
Okay.
Right. And I feel like he's not starting right now. He's not starting. And I know that, you know, Fernandez Harris is a senior, but I feel like that Hawkins is going to be a guy that they're going to try to get a lot of minutes for because I think Coach Underwood really likes what he sees from him, and I like what I see from him. And so, you know, if you can get him going, he kind of reminds me, and maybe not so much, but he kind of reminds me of a Daniel Horry, right? Like somebody that can just, if you give him the ball, he could just shoot it from anywhere. And maybe not like a pop shot like Horry is, but he can score from anywhere. And so if Illinois can get him moving and get him going, then that's going to be a nice little piece to go along with Jordan.
All right. Okay. Yeah, let's take a moment real quick before we get out of here and get to our last little bit here. Shout out Coach Hub. He's going to take home the 8K EMs. Way to go, sir. You've been working. We've seen you grind. You're one of the more active people here in SimWorld, and it will pay off, and it pays off today. Good deal. We'll see if you were rocking the alts, too, because I keep my eyes open. All right. So you think they'll be better than last season. What does that mean, Coach? What number does that mean? How deep a run is that?
I mean, they made it to the grade 8. Right, they had a nice little run. I feel like that's the bar. I feel like that's the floor. Let me rephrase that. That's the floor of where they go. If I feel like this is a team, well coached, they have a big opportunity here, be able to take this right. And this is the team that I feel like there's 3 of them in my mind that I feel like can be legitimate threats in this league, in this conference, and this is one of them. I feel like 21 wins easy. Let's just stamp it now. And I feel like they have an opportunity to really get into the quad.
Wow. Okay. You hear that, Fighting Illini fans? They're going to go further than they went last season. No major changes. One quick note on Illinois is that the originators of this program are just as lazy as whoever came up with the Houston Texans. Like, what are we going to call them? Houston, I don't know, Texans. Illinois, what are we going to call them? Illini. Let's just like they could have gave it a little effort. I just think that's really
they like to fight, so we'll put fight in Illini.
Well, they're in Chicago, so all right.
True.
I like to rag on the other cities. Can't help it. Recruiting wise, anything that they need to be looking for here? I mean, obviously, just anything to compliment Dijo. Or matter of fact, let's do a quick thing if you can, really quickly, Coach.
Yeah.
Is there any player on this team that you think will develop this season and be more of a Robin for Dijo than they had been last season? I know you mentioned Jaden Hawkins, but he's a freshman.
Yeah.
Do you think that he really steps into that role and Coach gives it to him? Or if you had to bet money, who is it?
I think it's Levon Williams. If you're going to give me this chance here, third in 3-point percentage of 54%, I mean, that is just unheard of. It's crazy that was third. But Levon Williams, I feel like, is a guy that could develop and be better this season if I have to pick one of these guys.
Okay. All right, well, there you go. Fighting the line now.
There you go.
They'll be fighting to make Coach Lightle correct. Let's move on here. One of my favorite teams last season, primarily because they had one of my favorite players. I just love his nickname. I may have had something to do with it catching on. I hope so. Let's talk Minnesota. Let's talk the Gophers. They had a guy by the name of Donald Ifedi, or affectionately known as DIY, as I called him.
Yep.
He's gone. He was a little bit of everything for this team. 8-6 in the conference. They were 16-13, but a lot of their wins came on the back of him being a great two-way player for them. He's no longer there. You still got Bradley Antone there at center. You got the second number 2 and number 3 scorers coming back in Taylor Moore as the senior and Keyshawn Wilkie, who could shoot it from the outside. Excuse me, he's coming back as well. So you got something in the perimeter, you got something on the inside there. And we'll just go ahead and get this out the way. They got Stoic Howard. A lot of people don't know about him. I know you know about him being from the Midwest, Coach. And Edward Bwama. We have not heard a lot about him since his high school days, but this guy was a highlight and a half. I think he will be electric for this team. He may be the second coming of Donald Ifedi within a few years. Coach Kusa, moving up from SimWorld Prep. Right, I know you had a few battles against him. Came from one of the more elite prep programs in high school, or one of the more elite prep leagues in high school basketball. Getting his first chance, coming from Finland, high Finnish population there in Minnesota, just seems like a match made in heaven. So I'm rooting for him. Where do you stand on it, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, any coach that comes from prep up here to the collegiate level, I mean, I'm always going to be rooting for, right? So shout out to Coach Goose on that. But yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this before, but you know, his teams are always well coached, and they're one of the more difficult teams you have to face when you face a Coach Kusa team. I feel like this is a really good opportunity for Minnesota. I feel like they got the right guy. I mean, personally, I would have liked to see maybe Coach Lovelace in here too. Not trying to throw any shade towards Kusa, but I know Coach Lovelace would have probably been a great fit here as well. But yeah, this is a team that is going to be interesting because obviously new coach, new system. Let's see how they're able to adapt to that. You know, you got a guy like Taylor Moore who averaged 11 a game. You know, and Bradley Atone, who's your starting five, but he was your best outside shot, right? So he's more of like a stretch five. Are they going to utilize him like that, right? So that'll be the question. I'll tell you this. Stoic Howard Jr. is a monster. Tried so hard to get Stoic Howard to come to BTA and never could get it to work. But this is the guy, I mean, big size, 6'8", 240, great shot blocker, can make a lot of plays. I feel like with him, along with Boma, as you talked about, right? I mean, I remember watching Boma back in his early days and, just a high motor guy. And so, those two coming together, I want to see what Kusa does with them. I mean, you can't forget about Ben Shadke either, right? Ben Shadke is somebody that's what I feel like is more that traditional guard, right? He's that quarterback that I keep bringing up on other teams. So this is a really interesting team. And if Kusa can bring it all together, I see some great things with them.
Okay. What are they missing?
I mean, I in my mind, I feel like they're missing. I mean, Keyshawn Likely is you know that. I mean, he's a great player, but I want to see what he could do in the defensive part in the interior paint. Right? I mean, nobody was. I mean, Idris Blocker was leading the team in blocks last season at just under 1. Right? So not even like your big guy. I mean, that's 6'2". How does the guy that's 6'2" lead your team? Right? So I feel like what they're missing is that interior dog, if that's the good word I want to use there.
Okay. All right. Well, predictions. Where do they land this season after having a 16-13 season last year?
I mean, this was a team that made the conference title, right? They lost to Purdue in that. They lost in the first round to Illinois, who ended up going on a nice little run there. I brought up 3 teams, Purdue, Illinois, and here's the third, is Minnesota, right? I can easily see them going back. I think Coach Gusa gets them a little bit more than 16. I could see this as a possible 19 to 20 win team. Maybe even a little bit better in the conference, right? I could see 9 wins. If there's anybody that could bring that together, it's going to be Coach Gusa. So give me 19, give me 9 wins in the conference. Give me a great opportunity for Minnesota to be in the conference title.
Recruiting. What are we looking for here? On the recruiting trail, what is Coach?
On the recruiting trail, I mean, this is still kind of a young team, right? I mean, they have 6 freshmen on this roster. So, like I said, I feel like if you're going to try to go find somebody that's going to be that interior guy, right? I mean, you don't really have that because, your starting center is a guy that's really kind of a stretch 5, and then the backup, you could technically play Likely as the backup. I mean, he's going to start at the 4, but he's not really a defensive guy. I think they need some interior defense.
Okay. Let's move on. We got the last team of the night here. We've talked about a lot of stuff here. I'm gonna give you a little grief too.
Okay.
Got the wife coming in. Hang tight, dear. All right, so let's go talk Maryland. The Terrapins. No CKC. I'm gonna say big problem. I think that's what that's where I'm gonna allude to. CKC was roughly 60% of their offense between his bucket getting and his assist, not to mention his hockey assist. He's gone. Keith Anthony's still back, great defender. AC Day is back. I'm a big fan of this guy. Jameer Polk was the second leading scorer on this team, but a lot of new faces outside of that. VJ George still there, kind of underwhelming at points. This Maryland team, 6-8 in conference. They did have a winning record, 19-13. They saw it cracked as much as 24 in the SP top 25. Better or worse this upcoming season, Coach?
Worse. Worse. I mean, look, I like Polk Jr. I think he's a nice, what you would call a downhill scorer, right? 12 points a game, shot 61% from the floor. Not really an outside guy, right? Only shot 10%, so don't expect him to shoot the 3. The only one they have that can shoot the 3 is AC Day, and that's even a stretch at 27%. So I don't know where the points are going to come from. I mean, if you're just going to be focusing on Polk Jr., who else, right? It's kind of like, I don't know if Coach Willard really did a great job in the recruiting trail. Alan Steele is somebody that kind of the one that jumps out at you, right? He's a, quick presence on the floor. Always trying to he's more of a slashing guard, right? He's going to get to start at the 2. Like I said, I mean, you lose out on CKC, 22 points a game, taking all that with him, and there's really nobody in return. I feel like that's going to be able to fill that void. So this team's going to be progressively worse than they were last season.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. Aside from they're gonna be be challenged, getting points on the board. What helps bad defense is scoring. They already were not a great defensive team. You also don't have CKC there anymore. And when Keith Anthony comes off of the floor, they get, as our viewers have heard me say on this show, it is a staple of Hard in the Paint. They get light in the ass. They get very paper thin once he comes off of the floor. So I think it's going to be a tough season for Maryland. I don't think we even have to spend a bunch of time on them, Coach. I'll ask you this quickly and ask you, What is the number? How many wins do they get this season?
I think if you're a Maryland Terrapin fan, one, I mean, you're already hitting the liquor. Two, you're probably maybe 11, 12 wins max. And that may be even a stretch. I just don't see this team being good, right? This is kind of like, because that 19 win season, I didn't really go and look at their schedule fully. I wonder if they just played a bunch of cupcakes in the first few weeks of the season, right? In non-conference play before they got to this point. But I mean, 6 wins in the conference kind of shows it, and that's the telling number. Like I said, I see 12 wins at max. If you even got to 14, for example, I mean, throw Kevin Willard a freaking parade, because that'd be a miracle. So like I said, I don't see this being a great team. This is going to be probably the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the Big Ten. So give me 12 wins max.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say this before we let you go, Coach. Two things. Number one, you said 14, 15 wins are gonna be bottom of the barrel. I think so. I think it's gonna be a challenge for this team. But hot seat for you. You said they're gonna be bottom of the barrel and they may get up to 14 wins. Is there some hometown bias here when we're talking about Big Ten? Because you gave in your predictions, I'm going to go back, I'm going to review the show like I always do, and you gave some pretty lofty numbers for almost every team in their win total, prediction-wise. So is the Big Ten just going to be running wild on all the other conferences? How is it possible that every team is going to be getting at least, there's only a couple. I think there's a couple where you said maybe 8 or 9 wins, but the rest, they were hovering around 500. Explain, Coach.
I mean, when you look at this conference last season, there was a ton of them that were kind of hovering around over 500 when it comes to that. So it wouldn't be surprising if that's what you get here. But yeah, I mean, maybe I have a little bit of higher expectations with Big Ten, right? And that's okay. That happens. But there's going to be some teams that just slip and fall, right? Like I said, Maryland is definitely one of those teams. If Indiana doesn't get their crap together, that's going to be another team, right? So you're right. Like I said, I may have a little bit of higher expectation, but then again, I also know that when Big Ten is on and all the teams are legit, then it's one of the best conferences in basketball.
We'll see. We will see. It's been a pleasure having you here, Coach. Coach Lightle has joined us and graced us with his presence. We're looking forward to seeing more of you, hearing more from you on broadcasts upcoming this season in SimWorld U. We've already seen you doing some great work for CBS, so pleasure, sir. I love watching you coach games. I'm sure that your opposing coaches are glad that you're on the other side of the house now. Appreciate everyone who tuned in for Hard in the Paint. This was a long one, but we had some good stuff to talk about. So appreciate you guys hanging in there. Shout out Biff Markham, our winner the first time around. Shout out Coach Hub, who's going to take home the 8K this time around. And just shout out the whole SimWorld universe. So it's the only place where you can see the game, be the game, and we're able to do that here tonight. Till next time, it's been Hard in the Paint. I'm Yels. This is CC, and we're out. Peace.